So today we're going to take a look at possibly what is the weirdest comp that has ever been played in Pro Valorant, because we're going to take a look at Paper Rex versus Bleed on Breeze. And here's the thing, if you got me to, if you asked what agent will never be replaced on a certain map, at least with the current agent pool that we have, it would be Viper on Breeze. And I'm sure most people would probably agree the Viper on Breeze is like the last agent that would ever be replaced on any map, and is the least likely to be replaced. But Paper Rex don't care. And I don't know who's coming up with these comps or whatnot for Paper Rex, but yeah, they don't care what you think. They will make it work. And this is an important game as well. You might be like, oh, you might not know who Bleed are. Bleed are basically the third best team in APAC. They came third for the last qualifier for the tournament. They're the second best team in Malaysia, Singapore, behind Paper Rex. Like, this is kind of like the Optic versus C9 of Malaysia, Singapore, right? So, and it's 1-1, and this is the final map, so it's not like they're just picking this comp to be a troll or whatever. This is a serious game that they want to win. And they do go on to win it with this comp because they're playing on Breeze a no Viper comp. They've gone with Astra, solo Astra controller. They've gone Breach as well, which is a pretty rare. I mean, some teams have now started to experiment with Breach on Breeze, but not with much success, and it's only very, very recent that anyone has even tried that. And also Neon. Now, Neon is perhaps more normal. We might see more of that with the Jet nerf, of course. That one might start to become more popular. I don't think that one's as troll of a pick. But yeah, this is absolutely insane, and so we need to just talk about what exactly they did. And so here's the thing. On the defensive side, I actually think the Astra is okay, right? Like, the Astra is perfectly fine on the defensive side, and it didn't used to be because the Astra smokes used to be smaller and this A choke point used to be bigger, so actually the smoke wouldn't even cover this whole choke point on the defensive side, so you just couldn't pick Astra before. But now that this is smaller and the smokes are bigger, defensively, I think Astra is fine. You don't need a Viper. And actually, a lot of teams disagree about where you should play Viper and what setup you should use with Viper. So, defensively, I think it's fine. And we're going to see that in this round. But here's what they did a lot of. They did a lot of combos with the Breach and the Neon on the defensive side. They normally play together, but this time they're going to play slightly apart, but they're going to aim to do the same thing. Because the Breach is going to stun down here. They're going to get a dart in here. And Forsaken, you're not going to believe this, but Forsaken gets pretty aggressive. And he's going to run down here and start off. And Jing wants to join in as well. He's going to peek in this as well. So they take early mid control. And in general, they left Mindfreak on this B site to somewhat play on his own, and you'll see him do just that. But let's first just watch here in round 4. So this is the first full gun round for both sides. That, here comes the dart. They did stun down here, and here comes Forsaken, right? And he's going to come on this big flank. And the thing is, you just saw that Mindfreak had 2 stars set up here on B as well. So he's going to use a suck on this one here that was in the choke point. That kind of separates the team from this Jet who's dashing in. And he's actually going to smoke with this one here onto the site. And you'll see what that looks like here. If we just come back to the normal mode, this is what that looks like for that smoke. So very interesting smoke. We've seen quite a few different Astras in particular use this. Obviously Sugar Zero and Mako from DRX as well used this a lot on Astra on various maps to great success. These kind of middle of the site smokes that you can hide from things like Sova drones, but also just play around them and try and live basically to allow your team to rotate in. And that's exactly what Mindfreak is going to do. He's going to play it very well. But if we come back to the map, you can see on the Neon, yeah, Forsaken has just, ran down mid, and he's just running down here, and he's actually about to, we will see, he gets a little slide across here, and he's going to find the first kill onto this Viper. So they get the first kill by being aggressive. I know, shocking that Paper Rex would do that, but there you go, the little slide, they get the kill, right? So Mindfreak is just living on the back of the site, and now obviously they do know someone's on the flank, and what's going to happen is Forsaken here, sorry, he's going to use the Neon Wall to try and avoid these chamber traps, and you can see that Jing is also coming here for kind of this double pinch on the flank. So there goes the Neon Wall, and as I said, whilst this is all going on, we have just Mindfreak here. He's just living in the back of the site. He's just sitting out here on the back of the site. But now the rotates have come in, right? Like, this is what they wanted. The rotates have come in. They've actually sent out the Sova drone for backside as well. Benkai's just used that. You can see that the ping is going on to the Bleed player there. And now we also have the rotates here from Elbow as well. So now you can see that these Bleed players are in a bit of a trouble because, there's pressure coming from kind of all sides here. which is a big problem for them, and you know, Paper Rex are going to find these kills, right? So they managed to get the delay with the Astra. They're gonna find the kills. There you go. There's 2 kills. My Freak swinging from that other side, and now you've got both Forsaken and Jing coming around here as well on that flank. They managed to get the KO, and they managed to get that final kill as well, and get a flawless round. And so on the defensive side, you know, I think that it does make some sense that, you know, the Astra is good enough to hold down a site on their own and survive and whatnot. So defensively, this comp, I think, is perfectly fine. But another thing I was interested in was how were they going to use the breach? Because when we think about breach on this map, you know, there are some kind of longer little parts of the map that you can stun. Some straight, I mean, hole is obviously kind of the obvious one. You know, you can also do this one, which they did sometimes, down towards elbow as well. You know, those two seem like pretty obvious. We saw obviously in that first round, they did one kind of like this. And in this round, they're going to do this. And often, as you can see in this round, Forsaken is with the breach, and that is generally how they played it, with the breach and the neon together. Obviously, the neon using to play off that, and here we go. We're gonna get a similar thing, right? Breach stun, Sova Dart, neon running in behind it, because that's exactly what's gonna happen. We're gonna get the breach stun down here, as I said. The Sova Dart's gonna come in on this wall, and Forsaken is gonna follow in behind it, and it's gonna be a bit chaotic because it's Paper Rex, and what else would you expect? Of course, they're gonna play aggressive. So here we go. In comes that stun, as you see, it gets a stun on there, and Forsaken follows in behind it. They get this over dart to get there. You can see the bleed player starting to run back, and they do actually manage to find a kill, but Devi was also able to find another one as well. So we end up in this situation, a 4v3, and they continue to get aggressive. Benkai now has run down halls and found a kill as well. 3v2 now. And they know where these last 2 bleed players are now, but Benkai here, you know, maybe should just run away. You know, he obviously is in a bit of a sticky situation. The rotates are still quite some time away because it is Breeze. So in that instance, I would like to see Benkai just kind of be like, it's a 3v2, you know, I'm currently in a 2v1, so, you know, let's not peek into that. So now we're in a 2v2. Jing initially is holding for the rotate, but it's Jing, so he's going to go peeking in. And the thing is, because it's Jing, he's going to win most of the time, and he does it again. And he also wins again. And so they win that round, but again, you see some of the combos that they were thinking about, of course. This is the thing. I think that you can pretty much, within a certain amount of reason, use pretty much any comp that you want. Obviously, don't run no controllers and don't run 4 controllers, but I think at this level, you can run pretty much any comp and find success with it, as long as you play to its strengths and as long as you understand what you're trying to do. And that's why Paper Rex can get away with these comps more than other teams can, because a lot of other teams play fairly normally and might pick a weird comp but still just play it normally, and that's why they lose. Paper Rex pick a comp that suits them because they play very differently to every other team. They're very, very aggressive, so of course they want to do these, you know, aggressive things, and it suits them to play even with weirder comps. We've obviously seen it with Reyna on Haven as well. But now let's come to Paper Rex's attacking side, and we're going to start with the pistol round, but before we do that, I'm just going to quickly talk about how they actually went about smoking on this map. How did they use the Astra smokes on Breeze? Because obviously without a Viper it is very different. And so here's the thing. The Astra, obviously when she got nerfed, they did make one change, which was make the Astra smokes bigger. And I didn't quite realize this, but the Astra smoke now is big enough to be able to cover all of that. It didn't used to be, but now it covers all of the double arches there. And so normally on this B site, what they do is pretty normal smokes, right? You can just do this and this, and it covers both of them, and it's absolutely fine. So on B site, you're kind of fine. The A site obviously is a bit bigger, and there's some different things to think about, and that's where the neon comes in, right? Because what they would do on the A site is often they would smoke this, and in the middle of the 2 pillars here, and then use the neon wall. This is why neon is very important for this comp. They'd use the neon wall sort of like the default Viper wall, right? And use that to get in, and use that to get to this point where then they would normally try and fight this area, right? And this normally would be enough as well to, you know, get the spike down here as well. So that's how they would go about smoking both sides. But now let's come to this pistol round here, and what they're going to do, here's a breach stun for you. They're going to use the breach stun down here. Forsaken's going to go running in behind it. Again, you've got Benkai down here. He's going to put the Silver Dart there. So all the normal combos that you would expect, they are going to Astra smoke off Nest and the back arches as well, and they're going to go in off that. That was the general plan, and so let's see that plan in action, shall we? Because here is the breach stun, as we can see, and there goes Forsaken. And Forsaken he's going to go up there and he's going to manage to find 2 kills. Now, here's the thing, and this is only a pistol round, so obviously you don't have the full utility, particularly if you're buying a ghost. And so one thing that I'm sure they would do, because they didn't come back to this, but I'm sure if they did, one thing that they would like to do is then, perhaps put a wall up here, because Forsaken is about to die to the KO, and this is obviously a big problem. Obviously, again, it is a pistol round, so you're probably not expecting that, maybe they'll miss the shots, right? But, like a full rifle round when everyone has full utility as well, I'm sure the Forsaken probably would use this neon wall to then just, fully pinch in onto this site. You can see here that Paper Rex are starting to just come towards the B site, as you would expect after getting the first 2 kills. So yeah, he doesn't have the wall in this round because it's the pistol round, but I'm sure if he did, he would, and he's quite aware that, someone could be there, and as you see, he slides out and he tries to get the kill, but he just loses the fight. But here you go, you can see the Astra Smoke is covering both the archers. You can see they smoked off Nest because they wanted to do that little split instead. Actually, we get a very nice little Sova shock dart in there. But it's not quite enough, and so in we go, right? And we end up in this 4v2. The KO also died from mid rotating here when these two were rotating. KO died in mid there, so we're in a 4v2. Maxi gets 1, but they get the trade. But then Maxi gets a second, and we end up in this 2v1. But from here, Paper X are going to play this pretty well. Benkai sends in a little shock dart line up there against the wall. He swings out, they don't see him, then Jing swings off that, and they manage to win the round. So that is generally how they went about attacking it, and you can see that Paper X, they just find ways to make their comp work. And now let's come to round number 18. This one is going to be pretty fun from the side of Paper X. They're going to send the Breach and the Neon through the mid doors here, and they're going to send the other 3 players through the cave towards this A site. So a little A split, and how they're going to do this is they're actually going to use a Breach ult, but we're going to get the Neon wall down here first to allow them to cross, then a Breach ult from down here. The Sova dart is going to land in here. They're going to send a drone in as well. You'll see it's all pretty well timed. So yeah, let's run it forward. So they actually do manage to sort of just sneak up for the first part of mid, and luckily for them, no one is there, and there's no utility used there to try and stop them. So in goes this neon wall there, and that allows them to cross. They send a stun early in, and there goes the Breach ult as well. The thing is that there's actually a Viper's Pit here on A main, so that causes probably a bit of a problem there. And you can see, and this is like just perhaps another problem with the Breach, is this A site is so big that actually the Breach ult doesn't catch anyone, but it does give them the space to enter in onto the site. But that it is somewhat reliant on what Forsaken does next. But we're about to get the Sova dart in here, and they're going to drone down here, and the drone is going to push the Viper back, which it normally does, and so therefore the Breach here is going to be able to see the Viper and get that kill as well. So let's just see what Forsaken does off the back of this Breach ult, though, because it's Forsaken and he's able to do that, right? Which obviously not everyone is able to do, but you can see that the Sova dart has now landed as well, and we've pushed out the Viper because they've heard the drone, and obviously everything's going on over there. So the Viper is somewhat trying to hide, but does get caught out by the Breach there as well. So we end up in this situation, and then we're also going to get another kill actually from the Breach. We can probably stay on the map for that, because the Breach is now also going to find the Sova jumping down here, and very quickly we're going to end up in a 5v2, which is going to end up being a save. I will just run it forward here a bit quicker, shall we? For you, because this is going to be a save for the side of Bleed. But yeah, this was just another way that they used that. They also actually put a chamber trap early on into Hall here as well. Not Forsaken, Jing, sorry, just ran up here and put one down very quick. So that's just another nice little layer to it to stop the flank. But here we go, it's just a big chase now for the Jet, who does manage to find some kills, but yeah, it's just a chase for the Jet, and they managed to win the round eventually. And again, another nice round from Paper Rex. Obviously, they are very good at these kind of set executes. The Breach, obviously, there you can still see that there is some problems maybe with running Breach on this map in terms of, the ult didn't really find much. It just kind of gave them a bit more space. But, they're able to make it work because they have Forsaken. And now let's come to round number 19, and this one is going to be quite interesting. This round they're going to use the Cosmic Divide, but they're not going to use it like a normal Viper wall. They're actually going to do something a bit different. So what we're going to get is, again, these 3 players are going to come towards A. We're going to get Forsaken doing the same kind of neon wall here to come through the mid doors, and the Astra is going to lurk up into this position and use a Cosmic Divide, somewhat like that, across the A site. So let's see how it goes for them. And so they get delayed a bit early on by Bleed. We're going to get a KO knife to kind of, reveal them and whatnot. We've also got Jing putting that same chamber trap in towards Hall that we saw before, making sure that no one can come and flank them. There goes that KO knife. Sova drone gets destroyed. But now, you know, they're kind of ready to start coming in. You could see if we go into the map here that we've got Forsaken running in there. There comes in the Cosmic Divide, and so that becomes kind of their way to go. And so they sent in a Breach Stun down here that I think might have caught the Chamber, and they're going to flash in as well and come off that, and the Chamber is going to teleport away. So they're going to start coming in. Actually, Forsaken, as you can see, has come to the other side of the wall. But he's actually going to get caught out by the Sova. He takes a bit of a risk. And the Sova is aware of that. And so is able to find that kill. But they are able to get the spike down behind this Cosmic Divide. You know, they cleared out that space enough to be able to get it down. They shoot the Sova drone. And so now we're in this position. We get a Sova roll in there as well. But we have a couple things going on. Because Jing has decided to run past the Astral Wall, right? Like, this is the thing, that he's in a 5v4, so he decides to take a risk, right? And because this A site is so big, you know, this wall is so wide in terms of the different parts that you could come through, that Jing's able to just, you know, find the percentage chance of just, if he goes through it, you know, he can catch someone off guard because there's so much of the wall to guard. So that's exactly what he does. He comes through and he's able to find this kill. We've also, the Jet is actually right here by the Astra. The Astra is obviously lower. The Jet is going to come here and die to the lurking Astra there. Find a nice kill from Mind Freak. That's a very powerful position to be in. And Jing, yeah, it's just going to create chaos because the Viper's about to swing on Jing as well. But again, it is Jing, so he's going to be able to find this next kill as well. And now he's just kind of in between the Sova and the KO. And I don't even think he knows where this KO is. The KO knows where he is, but he doesn't, and he eventually gets revealed by this dart here as well, as you can see, and the KO eventually comes back and kills him. So we end up in a 3v2. Now the KO ults as well, but we've got Benkai here, who's fully back, right, so that he doesn't get caught by the KO ult, because he's going to Silver ult the spike. But actually, they didn't even need it, because Devi is able to just find those last 2 kills on the Breach, and it's another good round from Paper Rex. But again, you see that, you know, if you have that Astral, you know, obviously it can act like a Viper wall, you know, a better Viper wall in a lot of ways, so they're able to still make it work in this round. And now finally, let's come to the last round, and they're going to start towards this A site again, but this time they're actually going to start off a man down because Jing gets caught there by the Opping Jet. They did put down this Astra Star, so I am, you know, wondering maybe that came in just a bit too late. You know, maybe they wanted to get a suck or something on, expecting that might be the case. But anyway, you know, it didn't work. They send in the Sova drone, as you can see here. But now we're going to get some chaos because they send in this Neon wall, which I talked about, which kind of is acting somewhat like the Viper wall. And that's going to be, you know, Forsaken just trying to come in and see what he can do here. He stuns that left-hand side and slides in, okay? And now he's just kind of looking for fights. A flash comes in on the back tower we just saw here as well, on this back pyramid from the Breach. But, you know, he doesn't see anything there, but he finds this chamber. Now the wall goes down, but this whole time, this KO was in the corner, just stunned, and now sees, obviously, that Forsaken is right in front of him, and you know, gets the kill. But they are able to trade it out with the Breach. So they end up, you know, they were in a 4v5, but now they've ended up in a 3v3. And so what's going to happen is they take a break. You know, Bleed obviously expect that they're going to go in on the A site from that, but obviously Paper X don't know how many people are actually on this A site at this point. And they've got Mind Freak over here who's going to push through on this B site. So what they're going to do eventually is Mind Freak's going to be able to push all the way down here. This Sova is actually going to push all the way down mid. You could see here that Bleed are very much expecting it to be, this Viper is a bit cautious that, you know, perhaps the Astra could be coming up towards the hall, but that isn't the case. And these two players with the spikes stick together, and I think that is generally a good idea here. And they're going to find the Sova here, and Benkai is going to be able to find that kill. And as we can see just now, Mind Freak is already all the way pushed up on B, and so they're able to get that kill as well. And so yeah, they just played this pretty nicely, you know, didn't know really what was there, took the time to sort of explore the rest of the map. And then this is really nice as well, that Mind Freak, he's just jump peeking, he's just waiting, and we're actually going to get this Silver Dart, really nice, you know, wait for the Jet to have to smoke it, and then swing out. Really, really nice from Paper Rex, and they were able to find the win with perhaps what is one of the weirdest comps of all time played in professional Valorant, but they can make it work because they have this kind of set playstyle, and they do make it work for them. So congratulations to them, a very nice win over Bleed. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds because this meta has been very, very wild indeed, but this was perhaps the wildest of all of them.